Yes.
Hello and welcome in.
Well, big day for the Colorado Buffaloes on the road as a new quarterback is under center. Can't wait to talk about it. And there's no way we can go through this podcast without talking about whatever that was at Power Field at Mile High this past Thursday. Let's talk about it. Hey, big fella, it's here to see you
Hey, man.
Buffs on the road trying to get things. What's up, man?
Man, I'm good, man. Just still frustrated about my travels yesterday.
That's right. That's right. But you made it to your destination, so you're good.
I did. I did. I made it to Houston, Texas. I'm out here seeing family and, of course, great friends. But I mean, what a day yesterday, man! It was the most. It's the most frustrating airline day I've had. It felt like I was flying somewhere in the middle of Mexico. We had gate changes. We had a 3 hour and 15-minute delay. In that process, they pushed the flight time back 4 times while I was sitting at the gate, and it was nightmarish. I just happened to be sitting next to a young man who um, was getting off of tour for 2 years, and he had not been home. And he was the most anxious. I think he was, in his early 20s, mid 20s, and he was so anxious to get home. And when that airplane landed, people just let him walk off the airplane because he was in his army fatigues, and everybody knew that he was ready to just trying to get home. I mean, it was if you're traveling out there this holiday season, just be ready for it. It's no joke. Now, some planes took off on time. Some had heavy pushbacks like mine. Some were canceled. So just be diligent while you're out there traveling and moving around during this holiday season.
I'll tell you what, man, this government shutdown has a lot of folks' anxiety is high. You mentioned travel. Hopefully, and I do hold out hope that this can be resolved before we get really deep into the holiday season. We have about maybe a week and a half before that actually happens. Hopefully, the powers that be in DC can get their heads out of their asses and get
Right.
get this country in some sort of normal pattern. But I know it was a trying time for you in your travels yesterday, as is the case for millions of Americans. And so, not only that, but we're talking about all kinds of disruptions to our normal sort of way of life in this country at this point, and in my estimation, for no good reason. So again, my heart goes out to those who are all of us are impacted by it, but there are those who are impacted more than others. So that's
Yeah.
a great point you make right there, and
You know what? I
as
didn't think
disruptive.
I didn't think about it, but how about a double whammy? Okay, a young soldier who's not getting paid, sitting at the airport waiting on a delayed airplane. How about that? How about that?
Yeah, how about that? Yeah, that's where we are in this world. I mean, up is down, down is up, and none of it makes sense to the majority of the 340 million Americans that are impacted by this foolishness that's happening in DC. Hey, man, let's talk about what happened Thursday night in DC. I'm talking about Denver, Colorado. Your Broncos. I'm gonna have to pull back on something real quick. Last week, or no, earlier this week, I made the comment that the Denver Broncos, after going 7-2 and being tied for the best record in the National Football League, which they still are, I might add, now at 8-2, I made the comment then, perhaps the Broncos can make the case that they are the best team in the National Football League because they find a way to grind out victories in the most improbable way. I think after a 10-7 win over the Las Vegas Raiders and what was probably the ugliest game played this past week, quite frankly, the ugliest game played all season long, not just by the Broncos, but by any team. That game was horrific. It was a badly played game. I've seen 10-7 games before that were great games, but this was just, it was a comedy of errors for both teams. It was ugly. I can no longer stand and say that the Broncos, despite having the best record in the National Football League, which still seems strange, I don't feel like, and I don't think the fan base feels like, big fella, that this is a team that's destined for a deep playoff run this year.
The most important thing that happened in that game is that the Broncos won, and since they won, um, everything else is, we can work on. We can work on it next week. In the National
Hold on now.
Football
All of a
League.
sudden, we're having some interference, some technical interference there. I don't know if it's your mic. Just all of a sudden, it just happened. But go ahead and see if you're good now.
Every time you speak.
Oh, I think.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Did we just lose you? I got you. I can hear you, but I can't see you. That might be a blessing for everybody.
Go ahead and talk. I'm gonna reset.
Okay, you reset. So yeah, again, I think what we witnessed this past Thursday night football, which Thursday night games historically have been tough to view, and I think there's a reason why. The short week, particularly this time of year when teams can be beaten up a little bit, you don't get the best product in terms of a football game. But the Raiders Broncos game was extra bad. It was something that, again, bad football when you see it. I don't need a 45-38 shootout for me to be entertained with the football game. You can see, because that could also be bad football as well. But what we saw, I think, was bad football. And I think that, there are Broncos fans, certainly myself, in this mix that's looking at this team and saying, my goodness, why can't the offense at this stage in the season seem to pull it together a little bit better than what we've seen? I mean, seems like Bo Nix, the connection, that ever important connection between quarterback and coach, is actually diminishing, is getting worse as we go through the season, which is a head scratcher for a number of different reasons, not the least of which Bo is the guy, right? He's the hand-picked guy. And then we've seen flashes of Bo Nix where he actually looked like the guy who could be, the franchise quarterback for the foreseeable future for the Broncos. I can't tell. One of the frustrating things I'm imagining for Broncos fans as well is you really can't tell who's the problem. Do you have a quarterback that let's say he's reached his cap and there's not much more juice in that squeeze? I don't think that's the case, but something's going on there. Is it a coach that's trying to do more than perhaps he should, or perhaps that's in there and stretching his young quarterback still in ways that doesn't serve him well? Is it an offense that just doesn't have the talent from top to bottom to be proficient on a regular basis? Who's your go-to guy? I know Cortland Sutton has played that role and has been pretty damn good in that role this year. But are the laws of averages, sort of bearing its ugly head and revealing this team in terms of its offensive talent for what it really is? For the most part, it's okay. I think that's the best case scenario. Although I think J.K. Dobbins has been outstanding. The more I watch this guy run, the more I realize there's something really special to this guy. And then with R.J. Harvey coming in and spelling him, I think you're pretty solid in that running back room. Inconsistency at the receiver position, certainly inconsistency at the quarterback position. I just don't know how the Broncos fare for the balance of the season. I see you, big fella. You back here. You back on. Can you hear us?
There's something going on with my microphone, apparently. Let me see if I can do this. Hold on. Let me see if I can change it.
Hey, man, you want to use my mic? You want to get you a real microphone, man, and we won't have these problems. But yeah, I think that may be the case. And there you go. I can hear you clearly now.
Okay, maybe I just
I
need to
can't
have
see
my
you.
headphones on.
Yes.
That's probably not bad.
Okay, I can hear you. I was going to say, yeah, it's early Saturday morning. That's probably a good thing for our listening audience. But I just, I'm saying, man, I think this is a team that's just limited offensively from a talent perspective. And perhaps what we're seeing is just a defense that is dragging and carrying this team over the finish line, across the finish line in games that just aren't very appealing to the fan base's eye.
CJ, we've had this conversation several times, and I've been trying to explain the DNA of this football team. And it's really not Bo Nix going back and throwing the ball 35, 45 times a game. It's really not. The identity of the football team should be a heavy dose of run and play action pass. But because of the selfishness of the head coach, you're not going to get that combination. This is that combination is a combination for championships. How many teams have we seen go out and be able to control both lines of scrimmages and find a way to get it a win at the end of the day? It's just not happening for the Broncos with the philosophy. It's happening with the wins because the defense, they've been balling. The defense has been balling. The offense has had some real show of force, especially against the Dallas Cowboys. But I think what you have to look at when you're evaluating the team is at this stage in the game, man, which is crazy because we still haven't had our bye week. And we're going to have it after this next game against the Kansas City Chiefs, after this mini bye that we have right now. We still don't understand the identity of what winning football is from an offensive standpoint. And I think that's got to change if we want to have great success in the postseason.
Now, look, I know I call you black from time to time, but this black screen I'm looking at wasn't really what I had in mind. Is camera down, man? Can I see your pretty face?
I thought we were good.
Strung together before, but
I thought we were good.
Okay, all right. You want to roll like that?
That's well, cool, no. Man. I mean, it's not.
You want to roll like that?
No, it's not me. Can you not see me?
Okay.
Can you see me?
No. I don't. I can't see. I see a black screen. And again, that's not what I can see you. What's up, black?
I mean, I can see you. I mean, but this is technology. Sometimes this is what you get. But I bet you DC, who's
listen, you're right. So
DC's handling this, so we'll probably have to reset or. Yeah, this is crazy.
We're good. We're gonna roll. We're gonna roll.
Okay.
Perhaps the football gods will allow your face to appear on the screen again, and all is well. 8-2 though. Here's the trick part of this. This team is 8-2, right? If ever the saying "you are what your record says you are" is tested, I think right now it's tested in a way that we haven't seen in a while. While we're belly aching and confused and perhaps beaten down as a fan base a little bit, we are talking about the team with the best record in the National Football League at this point, with a game and a half lead over the LA Chargers, and a full 2-game lead over the Kansas City Chiefs, who you got next. I don't know how to feel about this, man. As an alum, like what would you tell the fan base here in Broncos country that's like, hey, this is a mess, but it's a mess that's producing wins. Is that good enough?
You know what it reminds me of as a football guy, it's like the Baltimore Ravens when you first saw Lamar Jackson and they were dominating and they got to the playoffs and I forget who they were playing, but they used a 3-3 defense on the Baltimore Ravens, which said basically we're going to always have a guy close to the line of scrimmage. And it was so disruptive because Lamar Jackson and the Ravens couldn't find a way to win. Now, we knew Lamar Jackson was a fantastic player, but there was always something that was a little off about that team. And I think that's what's happening with the Denver Broncos. We know that they're a good football team led by a great defense, but there's something just a little off. It doesn't mean you can't enjoy them. It just means that it doesn't look like the traditional best team in the National Football League. It's just there's something that's missing, and you just can't put your finger on it. But I think it's just, the head coach just won't commit to the run game first and play action second. And because of that, it's going to look like it looks right now. It's going to be wonky.
It is wonky, and at times it just looks like a team that's not very well coached. I mean, I'm looking at a 3rd and 1, and they try a double pass that. I mean, and the game is in the balance. Double pass to Cortland Sutton. I'm guessing he's supposed to either throw it back or throw it down the field. It was a mess. Special teams doesn't feel like that was probably the worst special teams game that I've seen with the two combined teams ever. I mean, they couldn't execute, sort of run-of-the-mill special team plays. It was just bad football. But the shocking thing, I think, for a lot of Broncos fans is that it looks like it's not a well-coached team. You take the defense away, and, well, you may wonder whether or not this is a team that can compete against the cellar dwellers in the National Football League. And in this division, we're talking about a team that they just, but for a missed, very makeable field goal by Carlson in the Raiders, this game goes into overtime, and who knows? It's quite in the balance at that point. So, and yet they're 8-2. And it sounds crazy when I say they're the best team. They have the best record, I should say, in the National Football League. Here's another little anecdote for you, though. After 10 games, they've only beaten one team with the winning record. That was the Philadelphia Eagles. Very impressive, to be sure. But again, I don't know what we take away from it, given how unbalanced this thing has been all year long.
CJ, I think once again, man, I think, it's so hard to win in this league, in the NFL. It is so incredibly tough to win when you have the exact same salary cap. You have the same amount of drafted players. You have the same number of players that you can draft every year, plus or minus trades. It's supposed to be tight games if you are doing things the right way. And I think that's what makes football so in the NFL, it makes it so competitive every week because everybody has the same pool of pot to actually pull from. And so how you make your gumbo is different than how I make my gumbo. And every week, everybody's recipe is on display. Right now for the Denver Broncos, they think they got a seafood gumbo, but all they got is chicken and sausage. That's just to be damn sure. Like, don't get it twisted. You ain't got no, this ain't no crab and shrimp and blue crab and it ain't lobster in there. It's not that kind of gumbo. This is just it should be just a good chicken and sausage gumbo. But they don't understand that yet. But they will as things get closer to the postseason. They have to change their identity.
Let me ask this. The Kansas City Chiefs are next. The Broncos play host to the Chiefs about 8 days from now. The Chiefs will be coming off of a bye. The Broncos with extra time because they played this Thursday. I would like to assume anyway, that both teams will be at their absolute best. The Chiefs in third place in the division. at 5-4. The Broncos atop the division at 8-2. Who's playing the best football, and who would you rather be? And again, think about that. 3 games in the win column, 3 games ahead of the Chiefs, I should say, period. But 3 in a win column. Who would you rather be, the Broncos or the Chiefs? What fan base do you think is more optimistic about the prospects over the next 7 games of the season?
Once again, we have to go with what we have right now. The schedule is what the schedule is. We're 8-2, and we very easily could be undefeated. I look at the Denver Broncos as
you could very easily be 3. You could very easily be 3-7 too.
But we're not. You know, the team that won Super Bowl 50 had 11 games where they won by a touchdown or less. So sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Sometimes, I mean, it's just you can't look at it like that. I think when you really look at it, I think what you really want is, can we identify who we are as a team? And I want to tell you something, because I think this is a good story to let you know kind of how Super Bowl 50 team was really formed. It was formed by, and I call the first game with Gary Kubiak and Peyton Manning experience was put together, and Peyton Manning was trying to run out a pistol because he couldn't get under center and run back for handoffs anymore. Like, you got to remember now, I think someone, and maybe you can speak to this a little bit better since you played the position. When you are a quarterback and you are running back on play action, man, you got to have strong legs and you have to be athletic. Like, I don't think most people know that, CJ. And Peyton, the entire year, the entire year to start that Super Bowl 50 year, man, Peyton Manning was under center every day in practice for at least 20 plays, just taking snaps and just going to his assignments and handoffs. Now, I want you to think about that, okay? This is possibly one of the greatest quarterbacks that we'll ever see play football in our life, but he had to retrain himself to get under center to hand the football off. So it was a problem, okay? It was a problem because he couldn't see, and another thing that people don't realize is when you're under center and you're going for play action pass, you turn your back to the defense. And he had forgotten how to do that at that point in the season. So they tried to make a compromise, put him in pistol, and let's see if we can run the same offense. It didn't work. And so what they ended up doing is unthinkable. Peyton had a slow start. He had a little bit of an injury. They benched him. They benched him. Mm-hmm. Now they said that he had some problems, but really what they were looking to do is put a quarterback under center and let that quarterback play. Peyton Manning in that season, CJ, Peyton Manning was a healthy scratch. He was a healthy scratch. Now I want you to think about that. He was a healthy scratch. Yeah, he was a healthy scratch. And at the end of the season, after they won Super Bowl 50, and he was reinserted into the game plan in the last half before the start of the season against the San Diego Chargers. Think about this.
Before the start of the play. Before the start.
Before the start of the playoffs. And I'm gonna tell you the best part of this story. Gary Kubiak had an idea of who the Denver Broncos were. Peyton Manning had just won 2 scoring titles. He had an idea who the Denver Broncos were. In the end, it was Gary Kubiak who said, no, we're not throwing the ball all over the field. No, we're not going to put the ball in the way of harm by throwing the football. We're just going to run it and enjoy this great defense. That's all that happened. We have to identify our quarterback's just not quite there yet in how he operates under center. It's just going to take a couple of maybe another year or so before it looks the way that Sean Payton really wants it to look. But in the meantime, let's enjoy this great defense and find creative ways to run the football. And you know what? With that being said,
No,
I'm
no,
gonna log out and try to log back in to see make sure to get the video going. So you can take it from there. I'll just log off for a second.
right. I was just going to ask you to do just that, but go ahead, bro, and I'll take it until you get back. Here is, and I've heard the analogies, I've heard the comparisons with the 2015 team, and I think in sports we tend to we were always drawn on history to inform us of something or to give us some context or to explain what it is that we think we're looking at. Sometimes it connects, sometimes it makes sense. And then there are other times where it just absolutely makes no sense. We're talking apples and oranges. And to be honest with you, I think this is one of those times. This is an apples and oranges comparison. I've heard references to the 2015 team probably 3 or 4 times this week, if not more. And I say that's ridiculous. And the bottom line is this: whenever you reference the sort of jaggedness or the unevenness of the 2015 Super Bowl championship team, we always have to remember that the quarterback was Peyton Manning. And no, he wasn't the Peyton Manning of, the early 2000s when he was winning, a Super Bowl in Indianapolis and breaking records, or the previous couple of years when the Broncos offense was, breaking records for the most productive scoring offense in NFL history. It wasn't that Peyton Manning in the 2015 season. But here's what I'll tell you. The Broncos do not win a Super Bowl with Brock Osweiler as the quarterback. If Peyton doesn't come back, the Broncos don't win the Super Bowl, period. Not because of his ability, not because he was still the young, strapping gunslinger that he had been over the course of his career, arguably, as Alfred said, the best, certainly one of the best quarterbacks to ever do it. That wasn't what he was going to bring to a Super Bowl team. It was his knowledge and understanding of the game. He managed that offense to competency good enough for the defense to do what it had to do and be the best that it could be with Von Miller and that vaunted pass rush and that aggressive defense to actually win a Super Bowl. So, Al, I'm going to tell you, I think the comparison between the 2015 team, as you just described it, aptly described it, and what we're witnessing now are two completely different things.
Well, I heard
there is no Peyton Manning to kill. Go ahead.
No, I heard what you just said, and I heard most of your commentary. And I understand when you say we don't win the Super Bowl without Peyton Manning. I agree. But you need something to happen to have a hard reset. Like if we were still winning games and Jarrett Stidham was the quarterback, I don't believe that we would be trying all of these exotic plays. I don't believe that we would be trying to push the ball down the field 40 times a game, and we would just go what was working to get us the wins. If Jarrett Stidham was the starting quarterback, and then Bo Nix would come back, you say, hey man, I think you need something dramatic to happen before you change the outlook of the team. Something's got to happen. I don't know what it is, but the philosophy has to be almost on this coaching staff. It has to be thrust upon them to show with no uncertainty that this is the way we win games. Something has to happen, and maybe it's a blowout loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. Something has to happen to make them reset, because right now I think it's falling on deaf ears, man. It's just it really is.
I hear you. And the interesting thing about how you just described that, I don't disagree with you at all. I think the problem is something needs to happen. Unlike the 2015 team, it was clear what that something was. Yeah. I have no idea what the something is this year. You mentioned the prospect of a blowout loss that would force this team to course correct. Okay, maybe, but what would is Jarrett Stidham for a spell? Is he the course correction?
If they win,
You and I have been saying all along.
I think if they
So,
win, he's the course correction.
So then you're leaning on Jarrett Stidham to lead you to a Super Bowl.
No, so this is the way I would say it, okay? If you would have won 4 games straight with Jarrett Stidham in there and you had run the football, and then you got Bo Nix back with the last 2 games, and let's just say you had, you were able just to get into the playoffs, it would have validated, I think, my idea that you run the football first with this team, shorten the game. The reason I say run the football, and it doesn't necessarily always lead to, first downs. But what it does is that it keeps the clock running, and it shortens the game, which it makes the opposition's offensive coordinator feel like they have to do something special at the end of halves and ends of game to win, and that's when turnovers happen. And this defense is one of those kind of defenses. So I say run the football offense, or also for the offense and the defense benefits if you run the football.
Well, again, you and I have been on the same page there, particularly with this team all year long. I think that's a fundamental truth of football, period. Yeah, we lost you again, man. Listen, we're gonna get through it. We'll see. But I think in essence, what I'm hearing you say is this is really on Sean Payton, period. This is just flat out on him, because if you need to change quarterbacks to figure out that you need to be more proficient in the run game, or you need to be more committed to it, then I think that's just a flaw in the coach. You shouldn't have to bench your starting quarterback, put a lesser quarterback in, who in your mind will force you to run the ball more to prove that running the football will benefit your team. It's kind of a twisted sort of logic to me. I don't know that, and we've talked about this as well, is it in his DNA to just do what's in front of you, take what's in front of you. There were a number of times in this game where I'm thinking, why didn't they just take what was right in front of them? You have a third and medium, or even third and shorts. I would like this team to be more like Detroit in a way from this regard. They will, on 3rd and 2, it's not automatic pass down, right? I think your offensive line have shown, and J.K. Dobbins, again, I think this guy is probably one of the underrated or under talked about stories in this league. I've always had a great deal of respect for his game, but watching him up close and personal, this guy can go. I mean, he is a weapon, and he's proven it week in and week out. It's just, if the offense was more in sync, if the offense was better coordinated the way we imagine what we think of Sean Payton's offense, I think this guy would be, leading the league in rushing, or at the very top of the league in terms of his rushing output. But that's not the case, because it's so off balance. And if not for this defense, once again, stepping up and just playing over its head, leading the league with, by far, I think I heard a stat Thursday night where the Denver Broncos now have 46 sacks after 10 games. That's 4.5 sacks a game that they're averaging. That's amazing. And I think that after 10 games is the most in NFL history. The Detroit Lions, I believe, is second to the Denver Broncos with almost 20 fewer sacks. I think they have 28 sacks. Think about that. The Broncos are at 46, and the next closest team to the Denver Broncos in terms of sack total is the Detroit Lions with, I like how that sounded, Detroit Lions, 28 sacks. Again, almost 18 fewer sacks. That is an amazing stat, which means that they're giving their offense obviously opportunities and chances, getting them more snaps than most teams get, because you're flipping the game, you're flipping the ball, you're flipping possessions. But this offense just isn't able to get it going on a consistent basis to take advantage of it. Big game coming up against Kansas City, not this Sunday, but the following Sunday. And I do think the winner of that game. Now we have to keep our eye on the Los Angeles Chargers, because they're sitting right there right now between the two. Okay, we're gonna try this version of the big fella.
Can you hear me better now?
Is it? I can hear you great, man. I can see you great as well. I'm not gonna make a commentary on what I see.
Hey, let me say this. Let me say this to finish up this conversation before we move on to where the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Diego Chargers are. The only reason I say that this team reminds
Los Angeles Chargers.
Okay, the Los Angeles Chargers. The only reason I equate these two teams to that football team is because the defense is dominant. And all you want to do is just don't lose the game. You don't have to win it on offense. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to win it. Just don't lose it. So whatever that means, that's what it. The Denver Broncos lead the entire NFL in screens. Now, that should tell you everything that you need to know about this passing offense. Okay? We lead the entire NFL in thrown and completed screens. So I think they understand how we kind of operate. Just don't lose it. Don't, 10-7 football games are good. How you get to the 10, that's another question. But we have the gumption to win in the fourth quarter, which is really the best part about this team, is they find ways to win. I'm okay with them. And you ask me, who would I rather be, the Kansas City Chiefs or the Denver Broncos? I'd rather be the Denver Broncos, because that game will happen in Mile High.
Okay. All right. Well, look, man, again, I think the Chargers, they will factor in. They are quietly sort of just doing their thing. They're one game behind the Denver Broncos. If they win this upcoming weekend, then a full game behind them. It's still a contested division. And the irony here is, at 5-4 in third place in the division, I'm still thinking the Kansas City Chiefs is the defending, 100 consecutive season winner of this division. I'm still thinking that's the team to beat. I feel like that's the team to beat, despite the record.
Yeah, I think that you make a great point. They have the seasoned coach, they have the seasoned quarterback, but there's something going on with them right now, and it's happened since the beginning of the year. The way that they started the year off, and it's continued into now, where they don't look like the Kansas City Chiefs that we're used to, and because of that, I think we'll have to see how they look down the stretch. Because remember, for the fan base, the conference games start at the end of the year for most teams. And at the end of the year, you will see a lot of AFC versus AFC contests. And in particular, you'll see division rivals versus division rivals. And that has led to more viewership for the NFL. It's led to more late outcomes of how the season unfolds as far as the playoffs. And the Denver Broncos and the Kansas City Chiefs and the rest of the NFL, they're no different than any other team. The games won't really be decided, or the division won't really be decided until middle of November through December and into January.
So, all right, I want to put this one to rest, man, because watching the game was depressing enough, and to sit here and have to talk about it, kind of contributes to that. I was over it for a day or two, and here we are. That being said, anything else you want to add to this Denver Bronco game, where they are as a team, the season moving forward, before we switch topics here? Because I'm excited about I am genuinely excited about the next topic. I am like clutching my pearls about anything else you want to say, man.
No, it's better to be 8-2 than 2-8.
That's your word. Those are the words of wisdom you want to end this segment on.
CJ, winning cures all in football. You're winning. You'll find a way to make adjustments. We'll make the adjustments after every win, not after every loss.
No truer words have been spoken. And with that in mind, look, man, our CU Buffs are headed to Morgantown, Virginia. They're there now, about a half hour away from kickoff. The CU Buffs at 3-6 at West Virginia, who are also at 3-6. Both teams have one win in the conference. Unfortunately for CU, its last two games have been program embarrassing outputs. I think the combined scores 109-24 in those two games, two losses, one at home to Arizona last week, and the previous week, a loss at Utah. Now, West Virginia is coming off of a 45-35 victory at Houston. We were there at Houston when our CU Buffs got beaten up by the Houston Cougars. I was a little bit surprised, in fact, very surprised to see the outcome of that game. Don't know what's changed much in West Virginia, but I know there's been big changes here in Boulder for our CU Buffs. It is the beginning of the Julian Lewis era at quarterback for CU. And Al, I'm excited as hell about this and can't wait what's in store for the future of this program. And probably more important, the future of this young man who I've had a chance to meet and talk to just a little bit, got a feel for who he is, watch him practice. I'm a big fan, and I'm excited about what we're going to see unveiled in Morgantown today.
Yeah, Rich Rodriguez, the head coach of West Virginia, he found a way to get a win against a top 25 team in the 7-1 Houston Cougars last week. And what's funny is that game was in Morgantown. I do believe that game was in Morgantown. And what happened in that game?
No, I think it was in.
So
yeah, it was at Houston.
It was at Houston? No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I was watching.
You can look it up, man. I mean, I'm not.
Well. Okay, maybe it was okay. Let me explain what happened in the game because I saw the game. Okay, I misremember where they played.
Good.
Okay. 4 turnovers.
You didn't wear your glasses.
Now listen to this. 4 turnovers from the University of Houston. 2 interceptions, 2 lost fumbles. West Virginia cashed in on every last single one of them. 0 turnovers for West Virginia. And the quarterback was absolutely stunning as a runner in the game for West Virginia. So everything worked right. Houston had a chance, CJ, to get in the conversation about getting into the playoffs. And they absolutely got embarrassed. West Virginia with the turnovers. By the way, West Virginia in the last 2 football games They have 4 interceptions. 2 football games, okay, against UCF, who blew them out. They still got 2 interceptions. Okay, so you have to know this. Okay, if you're Juju Lewis and you're playing against West Virginia, they are a takeaway, schematically strong defense, and they play zone well. In man to man, CJ, they get smoked. They get smoked in man to man. But when they're in their zone concepts, pick six and deep interceptions, everybody's in position. As soon as they go to man, they get smoked. So I think as you look at that team, if I'm seeing it, then everybody out there is seeing it. If you can make them play man to man, I'm telling you right now, our receivers, man, are going to have a huge day. And I think Juju has the right kind of arm strength to really push the ball down the field. And if he can see and get through the zone defense, then we got a shot. But I'm telling you right now, man, these 2 teams mirror each other. Both have wins against top 25 teams. Both have quarterbacks that are really unproven. And both teams have had struggles defensively. So UCF, man, Scott Frost and that team over there, they embarrassed West Virginia just the week prior. And so, that was maybe it was the UCF game where West Virginia was on the road, where I looked at it and there were explosive plays after. When you look at the stat sheet, you see that as far as the game goes, it looked like it was a decent game for both teams. Terrible. I mean, UCF scored on 4th down touchdowns. And that was unusual. 4th down and 2, 4th down and 3, and West Virginia brought pressure. They brought pressure, and UCF made them pay every single time. So this game right here to me, man, this screams not a lot of passing yards for Juju Lewis, but have a great coordinated run game. Because once again, this is a takeaway defense for West Virginia. 4 interceptions, 6 turnovers for the defense in 2 weeks. Okay, they got 4 against the University of Houston, 2 against UCF. It's a takeaway defense. You just can't allow this team to force you into playing fast. And you just got to take the little dump downs, and you can't push the ball down the field, because I'm telling you, it's a great takeaway defense, especially here of late.
Well, the headline of this game, the story of this game, and you broke down, I think you're right, that was a beat down at
UCF.
Central Florida. I think 48-13. Yep, that was the 45-13, the final there. Both teams are 1-4 in their last 5 football games. West Virginia had lost 4 consecutive games before the upset victory at Houston. The Buffs, two losses before Iowa State, very impressive Iowa State win, and then 2 of the most embarrassing losses, I think, in program history to follow that up. So here they are, both trying to they're fighting for the 10th spot in the Big 12 conference. Oklahoma State is winless, and then there's West Virginia and CU. The winner of this game will lock down the 10th spot in the Big 12 conference. But the storyline here is really Juju Lewis, and here's my belief here. I had a long conversation yesterday with Colorado great, Colorado Sports Hall of Famer, CU Sports Hall of Famer Cordell Stewart. Caught up with him last night because I wanted to kind of get his feel for his first start at the quarterback position at CU. I remember Darian Hagan's first start as the quarterback at CU in '88. You talk about these young men in their first start. The game itself, look, you play to win it, and certainly that's the outcome I hope for. But I think there are bigger stakes for CU in this game. I think there's a lot at stake here, man, particularly in a college football landscape that we live in. I think it's vitally important that this team, that's why I'm glad Julian Lewis had the benefit of a full week of game planning, knowing that he's going to be the starting quarterback. You got to get him off to a quick start. If they're going to play zone, then there's holes in zones that you have to exploit. It gives you an opportunity. You got your zone beaters. You can high low. You can stretch seams. There are zone beaters that you have to game plan it to make sure this kid gets off to a quick start. Because even more than winning the game, winning the imagination of two constituencies, one, the fan base, which is why last week was such an important must-win game. I think you lost that. And part of the reason behind the change, I think, at quarterback is to give the fan base something to look forward to. So you have to get them back. Three constituencies: the fan base, the donor base. You have to, again, reimagine what this program can look like with this young five-star phenom quarterback now under center. And the most important constituent that you have to sell is Julian Lewis himself. You have to, I think this game is the beginning of imagine what you're going to be in this program for years to come, Julian. And if things go well in this game, it's easy to begin to put those pieces back together for CU. You are our next Shedeur Sanders. You are our next Cordell Stewart or Darian Hagan. And here's the beginning of that process. This game is vitally important to go and we'll go a long way in making that a reality. Now, there's a downside risk to it as well. Because of the mobility in college football, if in fact that imagination isn't captured, then there's a risk, particularly given the unevenness of this season, of that young man imagining something else. What might it look like at a different program? I don't even want to really go there, but that's the reality of the sports world that we live in today, the college football world that we live in today. So there's a lot at stake. And I think Coach Prime was extremely wise in the move that he made for a number of different reasons in putting this kid under center on the road in this game against West Virginia.
You said that you had an audience of 3 that cares most about this team. And I think you pointed out some good things, but I think you missed the most obvious audience that he has to really appease, and that's his teammates. Because at times, and I hate saying this, it looked like they quit. It looked like they didn't give a damn. They looked like they were uncoordinated. And by the way, Pat Shurmur is out as play caller at the University of Colorado. And that happened before this last embarrassment of a football game against Arizona. I think that, I'm thinking about this team, CJ, and I am thinking about the senior leadership and what it must feel like to be in a losing situation right now and having your backs blown out 2 weeks in a row for guys that are both on the offense and the defense. Like you worry about Juju Lewis, I'm worried about, absolutely all of the team and what it may look like. Do we have to break it down and start over all over again everywhere? We have one of the best offensive lines in all of college football, and each one of those guys are free agents at the end of the year as well. So can you recapture the hearts and minds of the team? And I think that's what's at stake here today for the University of Colorado. If you don't, man, I can't imagine how badly it's going to look down the stretch. And I'm telling you, like, that's what I don't want to see. I don't want to see a defeated football team. And I think we all know what it looks like when you see a defeated football team. I just don't want to be part of that at the University of Colorado again. Like, we've seen this, and I don't want to see it again. So we're giving him a lot of opportunity to change the outcome of this season. But I think as a program, he changes. This could he could possibly change um, the hearts and mind and spirit of those that are leaving and playing for Colorado the last time. And I'm always reminded of how precious your time is, especially at the college level, because I'm watching Shiloh Sanders. I'm watching Shiloh Sanders, who's out of football right now, and he went to a football game and I think with his mother, and I think they were watching Shador or somewhere. Maybe they were. I don't know where he was, but he said something like, "Last year I was out there playing," and and I thought to myself, "Yeah, but you thought there was a lot more left. Sometimes it just isn't. So what you remember is this last go around, and there are a bunch of kids, whether they're seniors or transferring, this will be their last go around, and you can change their outlook with 3 big wins down the stretch."
I think you're absolutely right, and I think that's one of the sort of residual benefits of the change that's been made here. And I hope it works out for them in that way. It's a little different in today's college football because the sentimental aspect of it is that when there's payola, I think that's the thing that's yeah. Our generation and this generation is just different in that, we had this conversation about the fight song, for example. I'm like, I don't know that that resonates. It's a different world today. We took great pride in singing a fight song. And I think these kids take great pride in other things. And it's not a value judgment. I'm not saying it's better or worse. It's just different. And we evaluate these things through our frame of reference, which was 35 years ago. It's just a different world. And I just think this is a great opportunity for CU to give this kid the stage to impact so many things. You're right. Think about it, because all positions aren't made equal. I mean, the quarterback position is special for a reason. It's the one position. He's the one player in a CU uniform that could do exactly what you and I are just talking about. He's the only one. There's no other player on this team that could readjust, reset the imagination of CU fans and alum and donors. There's no other player on this team that can do what Juju is capable of doing today or over the next 3 games for the University of Colorado. He's the only one. Again, I need to put that pressure on the freshman, but it's incumbent upon this coaching staff to make sure he has every opportunity, the absolute best opportunity to see success on an ongoing basis. This game today, to me, big fella, is the beginning of the 2026 football season.
I agree. And I'm hopeful that it works out. Once again, if you just, man, like film study is huge, right? When you have it and you get it right, you get to exploit your opponent. I'm telling you right now, man, this is not the game for Juju to go out and throw for 300 yards. It's not. I'm telling you this defense, man, they don't have great cover corners. I'm watching the movement of the safeties. They aren't, they aren't quick twitch guys. They're a bunch of lone guys that run and cover a lot of distance, and cornerbacks aren't twitchy. They're kind of in that same category. You know, they're going to get their hands on the football, and when they get their hands on the football, the defense is going to rally to it. Don't try to make this guy into a 35 pass guy in the first half. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's make sure that he's managed properly. Maybe take some of Sean Payton's game plan, throw a lot of screen passes, and get the guy moving. You don't want to get him hurt. This is a difficult situation, man. You know what it says to me is that when you say it's the start of the 26 football season, you're also saying it's the end of the 25 football season, and that's a sad deal.
Yep.
When you are a CU fan and you're turning the page, right? You're turning the page, and like I don't believe Pat Sherman will ever call plays ever again at the collegiate or professional level. I don't believe it's going to happen again. I don't think nobody
Said that. Somebody made that statement 3 years ago.
Well, I think it was me.
By Pat Sherman.
I did. I think it was me. But I said in the NFL, I didn't know. Listen, I didn't know he was going to go down to Boulder, Colorado. He's not going to get another chance in the NFL. I don't believe he's going to get another shot in college football. It's done. The jig is over. It's done. Unfortunately, CJ, it's cost a lot of people a lot. It's really cost a lot of people a lot, and unfortunately, that's on Coach Prime. You fired two.
Buck always stops. Coach.
Listen, man, you fired 2 offensive coordinators in 3 years. You got to get it right this time. You got to get it right next time you hire an offensive coordinator, and it does not have to be somebody who's had a huge history of calling plays. Sometimes it's guys who just have a knack for it and sees it a little differently. Maybe it's a high school coach who has had great success somewhere, in Colorado that wants to move on to the next level. I don't know, but it's got to be somebody who, can be
not that.
Well, it's got to be somebody creative.
Taken,
yeah, I mean, it's got to be somebody creative and understands moments, situations, and how to get the best players in the best position. And it's just not happened at Colorado for the last 3 years.
No, I agree. I think the offensive system has been milquetoast at best. There aren't, like, when I say man beaters and zone beaters, like, none of this stuff is rocket science, right? None of it. But you have to know what you're looking at, and you have to know the tendencies of your opponent and how you're going to attack their weaknesses. And I never got the sense that Pat Sherman, this offense, ever even got to a place where it began to approach that. We either get big plays, or we're turning the ball over, or we're 3 and out. You don't see a systemic sort of matriculation, you like that word on a Saturday morning, of this offense consistently down the field. And that's the problem you have. There are a bunch of, like, innovative, smart guys, but the smart guys are the ones who know how to really simplify the game and keep it simple, and being able to situationally take advantage of what the defense gives you. That's not been the case. Now, if the task wasn't great for CU before we started this show, big fella, I just got news that unfortunately, I think Jordan Seaton is out for this game. They said he came out with the boot on his foot, so that's it's not a good way to start. But still, I have faith and confidence that my Buffs can go out and put this young quarterback on the stage that will allow him to shine. But I'm watching out for how they protect him and how well they can run the ball with their anchor on that offensive line, and Jordan Seaton apparently out for this game. Give me a prediction, man.
I'm gonna say
Boy, that was a
that,
deep, long breath there, man.
yeah, because I don't think making your first start on the road is a good look for any quarterback, especially after the other team figured it out last week about how to win. So I'm not optimistic here, but I'm looking forward to a Colorado win. But I have West Virginia winning this game 31-20, 20, 31-20. That's what I have.
Okay.
Good.
All right.
By the way,
And I got to be.
Rich Rodriguez is an excellent football coach. He's a retread there at West Virginia. They're going to run the ball with the quarterback. Quarterback is not really an accurate thrower of the football. If CU can't stop this quarterback from running with the football, like University of Houston did, like Utah did, we're going to get our asses kicked today. I'm telling you right now, the quarterback at West Virginia will put his body on the line, and they're going to run the football with him at least 15 times.
Well, and having said that, West Virginia comes in, as you've described it, pretty much as a one-dimensional team, which means you can't let that dimension beat you. You make him throw the ball, unlike we did at Utah when they were extremely one-dimensional with a running freshman quarterback, and we allowed them to run the ball up and down the field. That was extremely frustrating to watch. Hopefully, we've learned something as an outcome of that game. But I'm with you. I think this is going to be a tough game for CU. The win for me, and here I am sort of qualifying what a win is. A win is a win. I'll give you a final score. But a win for me, if I could see 17 for 23, 205 yards, 240 yards passing with the touchdown pass and no interceptions for Juju Lewis, that to me is the kind of win that I'm really looking for in this game. In terms of its outcome, I will take, this is going to be a tough one. I'm going to take CU 27, West Virginia 24. Go
CJ,
Buffs.
I'm Go Buff. I'm Team Go Buffs as well. But I want you to remember this when we talk next week, and I'm going to tell you this, and it's going to show up like a sore thumb. The team who wins the turnover battle in this football game is going to win the game. Just that. I don't care if it's one turnover.
I think you're right.
It could be 4 turnovers to 2. Whoever wins the turnover battle is going to win the game. They're the exact same football team.
I think you're absolutely right on that, man. I think you are right on that, and we'll see whether or not CU with our new freshman quarterback can take care of the ball, and if they could force a turnover or 2 against this West Virginia offense. And I agree with you. Whoever wins that battle wins the game. Hey, man, it's almost kickoff time, and so I got to go get my, the last couple of times I was late to the beginning of the game. It didn't go so well, man. So I need to go get my spot, my libation, and watch this Buffs team get off to victory. By the way, on the 22nd of November, which is the season finale, both myself and the big fella, the Big Al and CJ podcast, taking it on the road again to the Boulder Marriott, where it's going down. Now, we don't have a kickoff time yet for the game. We'll let you know in future podcasts, but it's going down at the Boulder Marriott pregame, the best pregame tailgate in Boulder, and it's for the season finale coming up on November 22nd. Stay tuned for that. In the meantime, big fella, man, enjoy this game and be patient when you're in those airports, man. I know how you are, man. I just want you to get home safely so that we can do it again next week.
Yeah, man. I don't want to be in the airport the way that Antonio Brown was just in the airport, but we'll talk about that on next time we get together.
It's the Big Al and CJ podcast right here on Guerrilla Sports. We'll see you next week, and go Buffs.
Go Buffs.